What's going on, guys, and welcome back to News to Astonish, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. And welcome back to another amazing Marvel Spider-Man 2 video. Here at the channel, we've uncovered a lot of Marvel Spider-Man 2 content, talking about a lot of theories, combat systems, suit wish lists that we want to have in the next Marvel Spider-Man game, and plenty of more. We've even done some collaborations here on the channel. So if that sort of stuff is for you, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell notifications so you all don't miss anything. I post videos on a daily, and I do live streams once a week. We mainly talk about Marvel Spider-Man stuff and a lot of other Marvel related stuff, as well as some games. So if you like that stuff, definitely subscribe. It definitely helps the channel. So here we're going to be talking about everything we know so far about Marvel Spider-Man 2. I've done a video just like this about a few months ago, but at this point we're a little bit further into the year and we're only getting closer to Marvel Spider-Man 2, which is actually set to be released next year in 2023. So here we're going to be uncovering a lot of details, such as like the story and everything we know so far, like the gameplay and the overall outlook of the game. Let's go ahead and get started. This is from an article coming from Laptop Mag, and it was only published very recently. So Marvel Spider-Man 2 was inevitably after the major success of Marvel Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, so it wasn't a total shock when the news dropped at the PlayStation Showcase back in September 2021. However, the contents of the trailer were a bit shocking, namely the release date and the villains that will be featured in this title. We're super hyped to see Peter and Miles Morales Spider-Man back in action. Here's everything we know so far about Marvel Spider-Man 2, from the release date and stories of the gameplay and villains that might appear. So Marvel Spider-Man 2 release date. Marvel Spider-Man 2 doesn't have a firm release date, but it does have a release window of 2023. It could be any of the 12 months. Honestly, I'm expecting it to be a fall release, as it has been for the last Marvel Spider-Man games. You recall that Marvel Spider-Man came out in September of 2018 and Miles Morales came out in November of 2020, which launched with the PlayStation 5 itself. That is really not too far away. But if Marvel Spider-Man 2 follows the same release window as the original Spider-Man, then it'll launch sometime in September, just like I was talking about just now. Now that is kind of far. It does look like that Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be skipping PS4 and going directly to PS5. We already know that it's going to PS5, so don't even think about making comments about it coming on PS4 possibly, which we already know, and we've already concluded that it's actually set to be a PS5 exclusive. Of course, in the future, I think it'll also port to PC, just like the first one is going to port to PC as well, according to the Marvel website. Marvel Spider-Man 2 story, we didn't get a whole lot of info from the Marvel Spider-Man 2 teaser trailer, but we know about two major villains starring in the game, Venom and Kraven the Hunter. Venom is one of the most famous Spider-Man villains that gets real deep in Peter's life to mess everything up. So I imagine there will be a lot of trauma involved. Venom will be played by none other than Tony Todd, who's famous for playing the original Candyman. Then there's Kraven the Hunter, who is not as well known if you haven't read the comics or played the other Spider-Man games. Basically, Kraven just wants to ice Spider-Man to prove himself as the world's greatest hunter. His motivation is whatever, and the times that I've encountered him have been more of a fun and gimmicky version. However, he does sound pretty intense in Marvel Spider-Man 2 teaser trailer. I hope that this version of Kraven the Hunter that we're expecting to see in Marvel Spider-Man 2 kind of reinvents the character and probably gives more opportunities for the character to be more prominent in the comics, because there's not a lot of well-known Kraven the Hunter storylines that involve Kraven other than Kraven's Last Hunt, which is Kraven the Hunter's most famous comic run. You already know it if you all are Spider-Man fans, what happens in the comics, so I will not spoil that, of course. I hope that we can see more of a brutal depiction of Kraven the Hunter in this game. There is one villain that we didn't see, and that's Harry Osborn. If you played through the first Spider-Man, you would have seen that very last cutscene where Harry is suspended in a water tank by his father, presumably because he's turning into the Green Goblin. We also know that Yuri Lowenthal and G. Jeter will reprise their roles as Peter Parker and Miles Morales, respectively. Both of the Spider-Men will have their work cut out for them in Marvel Spider-Man 2, considering the long list of major villains. According to Marvel's creative vice president Bill Roseman, Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be a dark story. On This Week in Marvel podcast, he states, if the first Spider-Man game was Star Wars A New Hope, Spider-Man 2 is kind of our Empire Strikes Back. It gets a little darker. Another cool fact is that Brittany M. Morris, the author of Wings of Fury, the Spider-Man Miles Morales prequel novel, joined Insomniac Games as a writer. Morris unveiled on Twitter that the first project she'd be working on is, of course, Marvel Spider-Man 2, We're excited to see how her presence affects the story, especially since Wings of Fury was well received. Marvel Spider-Man 2 gameplay. The Marvel Spider-Man 2 teaser trailer didn't feature any gameplay, but it did show off Peter Parker and Miles Morales' Spider-Man. According to PlayStation Blog.post, it sounds like we're going to play both characters. It would be wild if Marvel Spider-Man 2 was a co-op game that lets you play the other Spider-Man with a friend, but it's probably more likely that it's still a single-player experience and we'll be swapping between the two at certain points in the game. Well, I can actually indeed confirm that it is a single-player experience. Just go to the blog.playstation website and you can see for yourself that it's already been confirmed to be a single-player experience. So definitely no co-op in this game. I hope that Insomniac Games improves Peter Parker's abilities, especially because he may be a tad bit vanilla compared with Miles' wild powers that give him the ability to electrify foes and turn invisible. It looks like the game is taking place in New York City again, which is a bit disappointing. We've seen enough of the locale in the original game and the Miles Morales spinoff. I hope they had something fresh to the city or surprise us with a trip elsewhere. I can definitely agree with this sentiment. I really hope that New York City is definitely expanded because I do not want to revisit Manhattan for the third time and only Manhattan. I want to actually explore the boroughs. I want to be able to go to the Bronx. I want to be able to go to Brooklyn, Queens, and other areas. And I definitely think that the map should be definitely expanded. With this modern tech, definitely with the PlayStation 5 modern tech inside, there's no excuse as to why we shouldn't have an expanded New York. I want this map to be huge. And Tony Todd has confirmed himself that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is gigantic. It is enormous. It is a big game, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what Insomniac Games delivers on that end. And the outlook is that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to be one hell of a ride considering how many villains and heroes we'll be fighting and playing as respectively. It's without a doubt that the most ambitious Spider-Man game out there, and we're excited to see if it lives up to the hype. Stay tuned for more updates and news as the game gets closer to its 2023 launch. I'm definitely looking forward to this game, guys, and I hope the rest of you are as well. I know a lot of you are excited, and also for the last two videos that I uploaded a Last of Us video and a Resident Evil 4 remake video. I know it's not exactly a Spider-Man video that you were all expecting, but I wanted to talk about those franchises because I do care deeply about them, and I'm sorry that I didn't live up to your expectations if you were expecting a new Spider-Man video, but here it is. A new Spider-Man video for you all to enjoy, and stay tuned for another one coming out later on tonight. So thank you once again, guys, for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so y'all don't miss anything. If you would like to help support the channel, you could definitely do so by super thanking me, clicking on the super thanks icon, which is the little heart symbol with the $ in the center. Definitely helps out the channel if you submit a donation. You can donate anywhere from $2 to $100, whatever it is that you want to donate. It'll definitely help the channel. Aside from that, your viewership and subscription also helps the channel out. Join my Discord. The invitation link to that is in the description box below, along with the links to my Twitter and Instagram. Definitely follow me on those platforms as well. And with all that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next comic panel.
Will one of you finally give me what I desire?
PlayStation